causes harms in multiple spheres of an individual's life. Like other substance dependence, even in case of opioid dependence, the person goes through this cycle where the person starts using opioids, he becomes dependent on them, he may seek treatment or he may try to stop by his own accord, but after some time he may go back to his opioid use. So remission and relapse is very much a feature of opioid dependence. So this phenomena where the person comes out of his opioid use then goes back to his opioid use is sometimes referred to as revolving door phenomena. Another complication that we don't see with many other substances, that is injecting drug use. Now majority of the population of injecting drug use in our country uses opioids and they are dependent on opioids. Almost all injecting drug users in our country are dependent on opioids. Now use of opioids through this injecting route brings with it its own set of problems. So the person will have increased risk of bloodborne viruses such as HIV or hepatitis C. So the rates of HIV or hepatitis C is much high in injecting drug users as compared to the general population. The other problem with injecting drug use and injecting opioids is to do with overdose. Because once the opioids are injected into the system, and if he injects opioids in quantities more than his body can tolerate, he may land up in overdose where the person may experience respiratory depression and that can lead to his death. In fact, opioids are incriminated in most of the deaths that occur due to illicit drug use. The person may also suffer from other injection related risk, for example abscesses at the sites where he is injecting, thrombosis of the veins, thrombophlebitis, ulcerations, etc. And of course, an injecting drug user, because he is dependent on opioids, the other harms incurred due to opioid dependence also continues. So now that we have understood what is opioid dependence, what are the criteria, what are the typical features of opioid dependence, let us try to understand how is opioid dependence seen in scientific parlance. So scientifically, the World Health Organization classifies opioid dependence as a mental health problem. Opioid dependence is seen as a chronic illness, an illness which lasts for months to years, and it is a relapsing illness. As we discussed in the previous slide, the person may come out of his opioid use but may go back, but once again there is a high chance that he goes back to opioid use if he is not provided the right kind of treatment. So opioid dependence is seen as a chronic relapsing illness. Opioid dependence, like other drug addiction or other addictive disorders, is compared to chronic non-communicable disease. Why? So which are the other non-communicable diseases, chronic non-communicable diseases or NCDs that we know? Diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular illness and so on. Why do we compare it with other chronic non-communicable diseases? Because if you see, when we try to understand what are the, why does somebody have diabetes or hypertension, there is no single reason. It is multifactorial causation. Similarly, in case of opioid dependence, it may be because of peers, it may be because of genetic vulnerability, because of environmental factors, because of psychological distress, that the person may have started opioids and he becomes dependent on opioids. So there is multifactorial causation. Similarly, the treatment that is required for diabetes, is not just insulin injection or oral hypoglycemics, but it also requires changes in the person's food habits, lifestyle, reduce the stress, regular exercise, so on and so forth. Even in case of opioid dependence, you require not only psychological help in the form of counseling or social approaches, but also pharmacotherapy or medicines which are required for treatment of opioid dependence. And that's why opioid dependence, like other addictive disorders, is compared to a chronic non-communicable disease. What is also interesting is that when we talk of relapse, we think that only addictive disorders or opioid dependence is the only category of illness or disease where we see relapse. But when some researchers compared the relapse rates of other chronic medical illnesses such as diabetes or hypertension or asthma, they found that the relapse rates are pretty much at the same rate as drug addiction or opioid dependence. However, the main difference is the attitude that treatment providers or the society has when a person with diabetes relapses by consuming sweets and then going to the healthcare provider that my blood glucose level has increased. Our attitude is different compared to a person who is dependent on opioids when he has stopped using opioids, but then he starts reusing them or relapses and goes back to the healthcare provider. The healthcare providers, instead of treating, more often than not start blaming the patient for it. So now, having understood the criteria for opioid dependence, the features of opioid dependence, let us try to understand how opioid dependence syndrome is managed. So when we talk of opioid dependence treatment, there are two strategies. One strategy is to provide short-term treatment, that is management of acute withdrawals alone, which is called as detoxification. The second strategy is to provide treatment for a long period of time, which is called as long-term management, which can be through use of opioid agonists or opioid antagonists. Let us briefly look at each of these strategies in the next few slides. So short-term management, which is also called as withdrawal management or more popularly known as detoxification. Now the goal of opioid detoxification is to manage the acute withdrawal symptoms which occur due to the abrupt stoppage of opioids. The time period for this treatment strategy is usually, the treatment is provided for usually some days to some weeks. The goal that we are able to achieve is only the acute withdrawals, and hence we see that there is a high relapse rate when we use this strategy alone. So why does it happen? Because we have taken care of the acute withdrawal symptoms, but the chronic protracted withdrawal symptoms, they continue. Craving continues for a long period of time, and though we have made the individual stop opioids, but the other issues in his life, the physical complication, the social problems, the legal problems, occupational problems, they have not been addressed, and hence detoxification alone is associated with high rates of relapse. In terms of long-term treatment, so we have antagonist and agonist treatment. So antagonist treatment involves usually using naltrexone tablets. We'll have a detailed discussion elsewhere on this in the fourth session, but this treatment is started after detoxification and maintaining an opioid-free period of about 3 to 7 days. The treatment usually lasts for months to about an year or so. What happens with naltrexone is that the naltrexone blocks the opioid receptors, and a person after taking this medication will not experience the high that he gets from opioids if he uses opioids over and above naltrexone. The problem with antagonist treatment is that it is suitable to very few clients who are highly motivated, who are stable occupationally, psychosocial, good support is there. Such patients or such clients only benefit from naltrexone, and hence we see that naltrexone is associated with poor retention rates. So that is about antagonist maintenance treatment. The second form of long-term treatment of opioid dependence is agonist maintenance treatment. Here we provide opioid agonist whose action is similar to the illicit opioids, but the addiction potential is much